Hi everyone, welcome to the Libra Lunar Eclipse video. I'm Dev Hotep, the goddess astrologer and life coach. I'm going to show you the chart for this eclipse. This is an eclipse that happened this morning, 2 a.m. Central Time. Adjust for your time zone. So I'm recording this on the 25th, Monday. And I went ahead and doing a video on this because it's important information. While the events take place the moment that they do, there's so much activity leading up to that moment of exactness, or the day of, and then there's so much that unravels and unfolds afterwards. And we understand so much of our own story through getting to know what's going on through the astrological language. Astrology isn't something that's happening. Astrology is just the language that's describing what is already happening. Astrology is life, and all of life is astrology. So we're going to show you this eclipse is this full moon lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse is always a full moon. And we have, of course, you're probably well aware of this particular eclipse cycle because it is a solar eclipse in the United States. It's going across the United States. It's a total solar eclipse, and we're not going to have one for a really long time. So everyone is is talking about it everywhere in the media. People have planned events and festivals, and there's so much activity. And we're only 2 weeks away now since we've just had this eclipse, but we're in this eclipse cycle. Some important points about this eclipse cycle. This is a Mercury retrograde eclipse cycle. Mercury retrograde is happening in Aries, and Aries is the sign that comes after Pisces. So that Pisces and Aries, Pisces is like the alpha and omega of the zodiac. It's the end and the beginning. Everything Pisces, the invisible realm, the all that is, where we come from whence we, from where we come and to where we return. It's the invisible psychic energetic realms. It is what's animating all of this visible world that we see, the tangible see, touch, taste world. And the Aries is the becoming. It's the ego. It's where the soul comes in to take on the personality, ego, body. That's why Aries is correlated to the first house, because the first house is all about identity, our personality taking on the vehicle, the personality and body. First house is always our appearance, how we deal with threat. That's why it's correlated, because it's the soul Pisces taking on the ego, personality, and the body to then act out its evolutionary intentions in this lifetime. So we have this alpha and omega. We have this death and rebirth of this Pisces and Aries energy working together. But Mercury is retrograde. Mercury went into shadow retrograde on the 18th of March, not long after it had that conjunction to the North Node. So the Mercury talked to the North Node and the South Node. These are always two calculated points of the moon. These are always the emotional lessons that humanity is tasked with for that 18-month period. And then they change signs moving in reverse of the zodiac. And then we are tasked with that with those emotional lessons for that 18-month period and on and on. And so your nodal axis, in your own personal natal birth chart is what was happening for the world for an 18-month period when you were born. So we have this Libra Aries nodal axis happening, the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra. And this has been going on since July 18th, 19th of 2023, and it's going to continue until the 25th of January, 2025. So we still have another another, 7-8 months or something. We still have a little chunk of time here in this Libra Aries nodal axis, and we're learning a lot of lessons. So that Mercury is our mind, how we perceive. It's the transmitter and the receiving tower of the information, of the quantum field, of the information of all of our wisdom and our ability to connect with all of the information in the world, in the universe, in the higher celestial realm. So that Mercury is our perceptions and our ideas and our understandings. And so it hooked up with the North Node to communicate about the lessons of Aries, and the North Node, made that conjunction to Chiron Chiron has been in Aries, and now the North Node is past Chiron. And, they had that dance, and then Mercury is linking up with the North Node after it's had a conjunction to Chiron. What this is saying is that Chiron is the wounding that humanity is dealing with at that time. So, for example, your Chiron in your natal birth chart is what your parents were steeped in when you were born. It's the issues and the wounds that they were dealing with. So if you have Chiron and Taurus, your parents were dealing with financial issues and survival issues and valuing the self-value, self-esteem, being resourcefulness, and all manner of sexuality and sensuality types of issues when you were born. And so was humanity. And then Chiron moved on after you were born, years after you were born, and we had Chiron in a different sign. And so Chiron, humanity has been dealing with Aries issues of the archaic warrior programming, and then the noble warrior Aries that fights for something noble, a noble cause, that fights for the underdog, that cares about people very deeply. The healthy Aries really cares about people who are not well off, cares about humanity. All of the signs care about the greater humanity when they're expressed in their healthy expression, in their high consciousness expression, in their light expression. In the shadow, Aries is very enamored with self, very self-centered, very egocentric in a way that's not helpful to it or anyone around it, and does not allow for connection. Libra, the opposite polarity, Libra being about relationships, but Libra being about extremes. So this Aries Libra axis. So Mercury hooks up to Aries to talk about, like, Aries is about being seen, us being seen, and that desire to be seen, that desire to insert ourselves into the world, to be assertive, to be confident, to initiate our projects, plans, goals, our dreams, the things we want to accomplish in our life, the projects that we're working on, to initiate relationships, to initiate connection, Libra, connection, growth, evolution. And also Aries is a catalyzer. So Mercury is linked up to Aries to have that conversation and get information. And since Chiron's been in Aries for a long time now, let's look at the chart. So here's Chiron. Chiron's glyph looks like a key, and doing a 0 degrees Aries chart because it's great for doing a chart for the world for mundane astrology, instead of an individual city. So doing a 0 Aries chart. And this Chiron looks like a key because it is the key that unlocks our wounds and our issues and the things that we will be overcoming throughout our entire life. And a better way to understand that is that it's the thing that you can, it's like the wounding allows you to be masterful. The wounding allows you transformation. The wounding allows you to alchemize that into greater wisdom. So it's where you can find some of your greatest wisdom. But being in Aries for 18 degrees now, like almost done with the second decan, there's 30 degrees to a sign. This is the second decan of degrees, that 10-degree mark to 19 degrees. And so we are almost done with the second decan of Chiron being here in Aries. And some of the issues are about being seen, about asserting ourselves. So Aries is also very instinctual because it's the baby of the zodiac. It's that first sign of the zodiac. It's that very instinctualness of a baby crying to get its needs met. And so the Aries archetype can behave that way and act from this place of just inserting itself and taking over conversations or dominating. That's that dominating conversations to try to get its needs met, very unaware, unconscious of the instinctual needs that are going on, and not acting out the desire to get those needs met in a helpful way. Aries is ruled by Mars, and all of this stellium in Aries here, with the sun now in Aries. We're deep in Aries season. We've had the spring equinox. We are, having a new year, a new astrological new year, a new astronomical new year. And so it's ruled by Mars. And at the time of this Libra eclipse that happened at 2 a.m. this morning, we have this Mars has moved into Pisces. So we have this Pisces stellium again. We've been in kind of a water world, and we didn't have much in Aries, and we didn't have any fire in the sky to kind of dry out the water. It was a really tough time there a couple weeks back. If you recall, you were probably having a lot churning up. You may or may not be connected to your past life shadow that churns up, and that pattern that repeats through your life until you start to act upon it to heal it. You might not be aware of all the subconscious material, but that's what Pisces rules, is past life material, subconscious material, and all of that stuff churns up. It's the emotional realms, it's the energetic realms, it's the impressions and what you feel from people, all of the invisible dynamics that are constantly going on in relationships and constantly going on within your own psyche, and how you are handling that, how you are healing. Are you healing it? Are you kind of flinging poop in your shadow and just hanging out in the shadowlands and playing in there? Are you using the shadow as a defense mechanism for the insecurities that you're not facing? There is so much growth and healing to be had here if only you have the tools to heal. And that's what I do in my 6-month coaching program with the women that I work with. And if you have been longing to do some deep healing to accomplish big goals in your business as a soulpreneur, changing the world as a woman, as a soulpreneur, you can go to my website, empoweredwomenrise.com, and book a free discovery call for my 6-month coaching program. So if we look at this Aries archetype, that Mercury met up with the North Node and got a lot of downloads and understandings, and then Mercury went retrograde. And so this is a retrograde eclipse cycle. The whole cycle, Mercury will be retrograde, and you will have a Mercury retrograde story. I love tracking my Mercury retrograde stories because almost always I can see something big is really shifted and happened. Sometimes it's in the physical, tangible world of like a moving story. The whole time I was looking for a place or finding a place or settling into the place or dealing with all of the moving aspects. I had one Mercury retrograde a couple years ago that was like that. Some Mercury retrogrades are deep internal shifting of something you are working through, whether it's your money story, your survival story, whether it is a relationship, self-worth story, whether it is an imposter syndrome, putting your gifts out into the world story, whatever it is that you're like working on some deep internal thing through the whole, Mercury retrograde time. The Mercury moving into shadow as it did on March 18th, then it met up with the North Node in Aries that I just kind of talked about. And then it's going to be going retrograde on April 1st. So it is, today, the 25th, we have a week, then Mercury goes actually retrograde, but we've been in the shadow. I'll tell you, I feel like this shadow has been a doozy already. I feel like it's definitely a Mercury retrograde where you want to double and triple check things, check that you have the right name, check your blind spots when you're driving multiple times, check your contracts and double check and triple check dates and AM, PM, and your alarms, and set extra alarms, things like that. Just take care of yourself during this Mercury retrograde, and pay attention, because we are functioning in a different way. And a lot of astrologers will say, well, you're functioning from an internal rather than external. That's not necessarily true. It's not how I ever feel it kind of present, that you can just say 100% that's the way it's happening. You can look at it that way and see if that's true for you personally. A lot of astrologers will say that it means that you switch from right brain to left or left brain to right, from the normal way you function. Again, never see that bear out as a fact, with hundreds and hundreds of people. So again, it may be true for you personally. I think every Mercury retrograde will be different. Every Mercury retrograde's in different signs. Every Mercury retrograde, there's different elements at work. There's different aspects connecting to it at work. So what I will say is that we are definitely, the way we understand what we see, how we perceive, it is affected, and it is different than our usual perception. And so you want to check things and be aware and slow down. Mercury retrograde, one thing that retrograde, this illusion of going backwards, this internal yin time does metaphorically inform us, is to listen to the invisible realm, to listen inward, to shut off, let go of the logical, rational way of understanding the world, and hear the signals of your body, hear the signals of your intuition. And a lot of you out there have to be really careful not to confuse or conflate your intuition with your wounds and your fears and your insecurities, because a lot of people are conflating the two, and like, oh, my intuition said I shouldn't go out, like, you're gonna face challenges in life. That's the only way you grow and learn, and we need to do that. We need to not be scared of that. There was some really hard times I've went through in the last couple of years that I could have just said, no, I'm not going to do this at all, because it was so hard. It was so painful. I was dealing with so much that was happening. And, but I was learning deep stuff that I needed for my journey, for what I teach, for who I am as a teacher in this world, and as a coach and an astrologer. And so it was so important for me to go through that, but it was hard. So many people would have just said, I'm not going to do this, and just wouldn't have done it. And I mean, so anyway, so I just want to like encourage you to be on the adventure of life, face challenges, learn, grow, be out there, like, be willing to be embarrassed, humiliated, be willing to be insecure, be willing to feel uncomfortable, and to feel self-doubt, and to feel scared. Be willing to feel all of those so-called negative big emotions, because that's where you have the ability to claim some of your agency, to claim some of your security, to learn, to evolve, and to grow, and to do things differently than the pattern that you've been doing them in the past. This is, Pisces, Aries land. This is about breaking down old patterns. This eclipse is about breaking down the old ways that we have seen relationships, the patriarchal conditioning of relationships. Remember, I teach that patriarchy is not white men. We don't want to confuse patriarchy with men. Patriarchy is narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths, and people with damaged egos that don't do inner work to ever heal or change, and so they manipulate. And those people that have been at the helm of the world for 6,500 years after goddess cultures were deconstructed and were completely dismantled and demonized and defamed, for lack of a better word. And so we have to realize that we've been inundated with the patriarchal version of what a relationship is, what love is, what sex is, what we've been inundated with the rom-com and the Disney ideas of sex and love and relationships and male-female roles. So many people are deconstructing this, but I'll tell you, there are deep, nuanced levels of deconstructing these programs. I just deconstructed one myself, because this is a Pisces Venus ruled Libra lunar eclipse, meaning that this is Pisces land. This is about dissolving our illusions, dissolving the things that the realities that we've been living under. We have to realize that this eclipse, this Venus, is co-present with Saturn and Pisces about our structures, and literally the structures of reality, literally our reality itself, and how Pisces, there's disillusionment as our reality breaks down and dissolves so that something new can rebirth. Just know that any death is followed by a rebirth, but deaths feel hard. They feel challenging. It feels like your whole world could be completely demolished, destructed. It can be loss and grief. Pisces can be that loss and grief. It can be the disillusionment, which can feel really hard in the moment that you're going through it. What is so amazing about what I teach women to do, which is to feel and release emotions, to actually learn emotional mastery, to learn emotional empowerment, energetic empowerment at the highest levels. And going through my own journey through this, I have went through some disillusionment recently where I knew what it was. I wasn't scared of it. I went into it. I let myself cry and feel the feelings. And I was really shocked at how quickly it dissipated. And I had been dealing with some of those themes and had like let go of it and been confronted with it multiple times. So I definitely had already done some healing on the same topic. So that's probably a part of why it just dissipated so quickly and wasn't this like long needing time from me thing to heal. Like it just was a short moment. And I was kind of surprised by that. I was expecting it could have been, hours or days, or weeks that I was kind of unpacking it and releasing emotions and healing it. And actually, it was really just the end of some long-term healing I had been doing. And this is where you can really get to with emotions, not being scared of your emotions, being willing to cry and get the transformation on the other side of your tears. That is so incredibly powerful, because if you don't do that, you are leaving empowerment on the table, and you are leaving your own agency, your own ability to be strong, to insert your value system. Aries is asserting yourself within a group or within the world or within society. And it's not in a negative way. It can be in a negative way, but it's not meant to be in a negative way. It's that we all must be a human that values ourselves, sees our own value, and is an autonomous being, not merged with somebody else, not merged with the group, and so on. And so really seeing our own unique self, that Aries is about becoming. Like, are you becoming? Are you discovering yourself? So this relationship full moon, relationship Libra eclipse is so much about this Pisces world. Venus ruled eclipse. Venus rules Libra and Taurus. Here's this eclipse at 5 degrees here. And it's so much about this Pisces world of this death and rebirth. Pisces is the end of the zodiac. It always denotes often a difficulty before the dawn, a death and a rebirth, a disillusionment of some sort, meaning that our illusions of reality are breaking down so that we can have a whole new chance at believing, thinking, perceiving something else, something new that serves us, that allows for our continued growth. It's not for so many people are just so scared of our emotions, so scared of these deaths and rebirths. One thing I'll tell you is I've been dragged through them. I do just who I am, my nature, and I teach this is to really just go face the journey, go face the underworld journey, go face your emotions, go face the darkness, go face the difficulty, the pain, loss, and challenge. Just go head in and face it. Because here's the thing, if you don't face it head on at the moment it's happening or sometime in there, you will be dragging out the years of your life that you will always be in it. And this is what so many people don't understand. They think they're pushing it down, suppressing it, denying it, trying to get away from it, when actually they're just living in a petri dish of it, in that illusion, that Pisces illusion that they're not, and that life is great and everything's great, and going about their life. And then it like pops out in really crazy ways and really unsettling ways, trying to get your attention, trying to have you go in and heal and work with it. So Pisces is always about, the biggest lesson of Pisces is discerning truth from falsehood. And so this is a Libra full moon, and we have this, quincunx from Venus to the South Node. This full moon lunar eclipse is co-present with the South Node. It's a South Node eclipse all the way up to this eclipse. For the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you probably have had all of your stuff churning up, all of wounding, triggers, challenges, relationship dynamics are up for play. All of these hurt, wounded feelings, feelings you forgot about, feelings you thought you had dealt with, things you thought you had healed that you were complete on, and not. And it's also, like I said, Pisces world, it's past life momentum, it's past life stories, it's the stories our past lives play out in these lives until we heal them. An object in motion keeps moving until it's acted upon, right? It's these basic understandings of physics. This is the truth, that our past lives like keep rolling out into this life, and it's wherever we're at in our journey of our evolutionary condition, of our consciousness, of our ability to be awakened, our ability to face the pain, loss, and challenge, to deconstruct what we think life is about. If we keep thinking life is about this achievement thing, this, Hollywood story we've been sold about the relationship, achievement, money, accomplishment, then we're going to keep being under those programs and afraid to not have life go the way we think it should go. And we only think it should go that way because that's the program that we were sold. And it's like, if we can just be on the adventure of life, if we can be on the adventure of life, like one of the things that's so crazy is I had to let go of my idea of like accomplishing my dreams, because my soul had a much bigger storyline than I could have ever have understood as an ego. And my ego keeps hooking up to my higher self soul to understand what we're doing here and get on board, and really goes along with my soul's desires for the most part. But sometimes it's dragged along, sometimes it doesn't know what's happening, and then it's going through some big challenge about it. But my soul has a much bigger storyline that we want to do while we're here in this incarnation, in this lifetime. And so it's this idea of that we are not here to accomplish dreams, that we're here to evolve. And if accomplishing those dreams allow us to grow and evolve, then we get to do them. And if they don't, then we probably won't get to do them, or we won't be evolving if we do them. So if we do them, we'll be up lost in this earthly planes, disguises and costumes and ideas of what's important, and completely missing the whole reason we're here at all, which is the evolution part, and missing the adventure. And so Saturn is never hard on purpose. Saturn is reality. Saturn's here hanging out with Pisces, co-present in Pisces. They're conjunct, but Venus has moved off that exact conjunction and is in this separating conjunction. And Saturn, since Saturn is structures and Saturn is reality, we have to understand that Saturn is our authority and our authorship of our life. And it's hard because we have bought into the illusions of the programming of the patriarchy, of the matrix, of the dominator culture. And we don't even know the programs that we have running in our psyche. And so if this is about relationships, and Maki Maki is between the South Node and the moon, and Maki Maki is all about like the natural laws of the earth and being in right relationship with the earth, being in harmony with the earth, being in like defending Earth's environment, being a sacred activist, caring about this celestial natural law connection, from us to the earth to the celestial, and earth and sky, and being in alignment with natural law instead of man-made law. And so what is that, like dig into natural law, just Google natural law and see what comes up, and see if you can explode some of your programming, because this is about relationships. Just think of all the things we were sold about relationships. We were sold the Disney version of relationships, that women are damsels in distress and men only know how to relate to women as needing to be rescued. And this has got to go. men are taught in patriarchy to be a predator, and women as prey, or women as trim, or women as this object, or women as this property. And many men still have this programming deep in their psyche. They don't know how to relate to a woman otherwise. Women have this same programming, and they're deep in their psyche, and they try to rescue other people and rescue things. And instead, what about being a steward of something? Like, say you're going to help an animal, and you've been thinking of it as rescuing, it's that paradigm. What about being a steward of the earth, steward of animals, a guardian? But getting rid, like dismantling, deconstructing this idea of rescuing. Nobody needs rescuing. That people go through challenges because they must, to evolve. We must go through challenges if we are to evolve. I'm not afraid of people's tears, and I would never want someone to be afraid of mine, but people often cannot handle other people crying, cannot handle other people having emotions. And we need to get better at not only handling our own emotions, having them, feeling them, allowing them, being with them, communing with our emotions, understanding the great, beautiful, important messages they are offering us, they're trying to give us. But also, we must really allow other people to have their emotions without trying to make them okay, without trying to rescue them, without trying to like be so overly empathetic that we don't even understand what they're actually going through. Tears are transformation. That your empowerment is on the other side of feeling emotions. Emotions are not scary or wrong or bad. And as long as you're narrating them that way, then you will avoid them, push them away. You won't get the transformation of the empowerment on the other side of them. And so remember, this is a Pisces ruled eclipse cycle. This Libra lunar eclipse is ruled by Pisces and Venus, or Venus and Pisces rather. And this solar Aries eclipse coming up is ruled by Mars and Pisces. And while we're having both eclipse, or at least while we're having this Libra lunar eclipse today, this Mars and Venus are co-present in Pisces. It's the masculine and the feminine linking back up to the all that is, linking back up to great spirit, to where we come, to source, that you are source. You come from source, you are source. And so this masculine and feminine, these roles, these identities, these ways we have been, we need to deconstruct them. We need to dismantle them. And even within, all relationships, the like masculine, feminine roles within, all types of relationships, no matter what your gender or what your sexuality, no matter what they are, we have to like see our roles and how we've been bought into it, how we bought into marriage. Marriage is patriarchal. It's all about dominating and controlling a woman and owning her as property. And what's so crazy is so many people wanted the right to be married, and yet marriage in and of itself is a patriarchal program. And so while there's shadow and light and shadow, and we can't ever be black and white on something, we got to be in the rainbow of it all, right? We want to see these things, that we have these old ideas about marriage. We have these old ideas about soulmates, twin flames, partnerships. Twin flames is a marketing tactic. It's a manipulation tactic, and it piggybacks on the patriarchal programming, the dominator programming, the matrix programming of wanting to have one true love. But I've coached so many 20 somethings, and I recognized this in myself when I was younger, that like they are just compelled, particularly women are just compelled and just have this compulsion to go find a man. And I'm speaking about, some hetero situations here, but compelled to go find a man, to like, I have to have a man. Do you even know what your sexuality is? Do you even know what you prefer? It's this compulsion, it's this programming. What if we were never programmed with matrix patriarchal programming about what relationship is? Would we be monogamous? Would we have many partners? Would we raise children in communities rather than in a couple? Most people, there's been so much research that has been done where people are so from religion taught and programmed to think that it's morally correct to be in a monogamous, male, female only relationship. And while we are wildly dismantling all these things in so many ways, still people aren't necessarily dismantling the underlining ideologies, the underlining programs of roles, of what relationships are, of monogamy, of all of these things. You know, if we think about Mars as your sexuality and Venus as your sexuality, and there's 12 different signs, and some of the signs are monogamous and very much want like monogamy, and some of the signs want multiplicity. And you have your Mars and Venus in the sign. And what are those signs conflicting? Are those signs similar in simpatico? Are they simpatico with your partner or partners? Do you even know what you want? Maybe you want committed non-monogamy. Maybe you want two partners, but commitments with them. There is so much relationship diversity, so much available that we have not explored, that we don't know, because we've been inundated with one way to look at relationships, that it's just between two people. When you know, everybody actually has their own unique individual needs for relationship, and we really need to explore relationship diversity. We really need to expand our concept of relationship. We really need to get rid of these twin flame ideas that really keep a lot of young people and a lot of empaths manipulated by narcissists, manipulated by by people that are not of the light. Marketing's not bad in and of itself, but people that aren't in the light that are marketing this twin flame bullshit. We got to deconstruct these ideas about soulmates. Soulmates are all of your soulmates, your friend soulmates, your business partner soulmates. You're just like meet out in line at the store soulmate that just had this amazing connection. You guys like helped each other raise your vibration or something. Like, I have raised somebody's vibration when I've been in a high state and come across somebody who's forlorn, and we just connected. We were meant to hook up, and we talked, and we had this great connection, and I really helped them out of a bad spot, and they were going through this breakup, and it was just this beautiful relationship for a period of time, and then it dissipated and moved on. But it was for this moment, and it needed to happen. I needed to come along to help her raise her vibration, to make some better decisions about being pregnant and leaving a relationship and what was right for her. And she needed to be in a better high consciousness place to make better decisions for herself. And I have been very down, and I've had somebody come along that just like connected with me, for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and raised my vibration and got me up out of the more difficult place. It's harder to bounce yourself out of those lower frequency places. And it was just what I needed at that moment. And it helped me so much to be okay and to move forward with what I needed to do in my life. So we have kindred strangers. We have soulmate strangers that we're just coming to each other's life for this moment in a magical, beautiful way, to be there for each other. There's so many people on this earth that we're meant to connect with in deep bonds, platonic. Some are lovers, some are not. And we need to grow, we need to mature. Saturn is co-present with Venus, asking us to mature our definitions and ideas of relationships, to mature and evolve our ideas of sex and romance and identities and roles within relationships. Sex should be a celebration. It should be sacred. It's not, most sex on this planet is depraved. And are we going to keep acting that out? Are we going to keep participating in it? Are we going to keep allowing it? I will tell you that over the 4 years, these last 4 years of my life, my standards, what I allow into my life, who I allow into my life, has so just shot out to the galaxy and the universe. Like, I will not lower my standards, even if that means I'm alone, because not very many people can meet me where I'm at, because I just won't be abused. I won't be treated poorly. I won't have somebody, project all their shit all over me. I won't tolerate patriarchy. I won't tolerate dominator ways of being. I won't tolerate somebody making me the butt of the joke, or their wounds and shit just bleeding all over the place and then manipulating me. I won't accept good people not doing their inner work, and so therefore manipulating or not being great to me. I just won't tolerate this shit. And I always like give people chances to grow. I mean, like, I need a chance to grow. I might not be where somebody else is in some dimension of life, that I need an opportunity to grow. I need that role modeling. I need some positive examples, because we don't have that in the world. And then other times I'm that for somebody else. So we got to give each other chances, but we also got to stop tolerating abuse. We have had so much abuse modeled for us in television and the entertainment industry and TV. We have to understand that back in the day we used to have theater, and that set the narrative for the reality of that time. So like Shakespearean times. Now it's, the entertainment industry, the music industry, and Hollywood and movies and television. That's the theater of today that's setting the narrative of our world. And we have to stop letting ourselves have somebody else set the narrative for us. We have to be autonomous Aries and choose the narrative, the value system. Taurus, in this mutual reception, Jupiter is our value system. Jupiter is our beliefs, which come from our value system. Jupiter's in Taurus, in this mutual reception with Venus in Pisces, that is ruling this eclipse. They're in a mutual reception. They would rather be in each other's signs, and they're in harmony together in a sextile, which sextiles are all about breakthroughs. And this being this Libra lunar eclipse about the relationships and deconstructing, Pisces dissolving, deconstructing, and maturing, Saturn co-present in Pisces, our value systems, our ways of believing about relationships, about ourselves, about our ideologies, our perceptions, our understandings, our ideas, our ways of seeing the world. And so that's what this eclipse is all about. Look at your life and look at how something has been dismantled, some old way that you used to view yourself or relationships, or yourself within relationships. And also Taurus themes like survival and money, and also just, all the subconscious material, the healing that we need to do. Look at that, and something has shifted for you, or something has asked you to shift. And you may have answered the call or not. Eclipses are all about endings, and it's in Pisces, Pisces ruled rather. So disillusionment, bam, endings, deaths, the death before the rebirth. So this is a lot of literal deaths during eclipse season. This is moving, jobs ending, all of those types of big life events happen around eclipse times, because this is closing out the old cycle of last October, the Taurus eclipse and the Libra eclipse. So, this Mercury retrograde eclipse is this time where we are getting this opportunity to look at things really differently. And this lunar eclipse of today, this means that the earth is in between. The earth is in between the moon and the sun. So sun over here, the moon right here. And this was a prenumbral eclipse. And so we're going to have that solar eclipse coming up on the 8th. I'm going to do another video for that. I'm not going to do sun sign horoscopes this time around. And I hope this helps you see this. I'm going to share something else with you. This is such a beautiful picture by Anatha Joyce. And just want to show you this. It's so gorgeous. So this lunar eclipse. Isn't this so pretty? If I could keep this on here. There we go. Isn't this so beautiful? One of the eclipses last year, lunar eclipses I got to see, and I was sitting outside for the whole thing. It's gorgeous. I even got a really good picture of it, which is rare, just to take like a decent night picture with your phone. So maybe you stayed up and got to see it. I was like, I'm not staying up. I was trying to get some good sleep last night. So this is breaking down all of these false ideas about relationships that just aren't serving us anymore, and just aren't helping us to evolve and grow. How do you want to think about relationships that's right for you? And the Saturn Venus has already talked to Saturn and is in that separating new moon phase of that conjunction. And so Venus and Saturn had their conjunction, and Saturn wants us to mature. And Saturn in Pisces, it's dismantling the old structures of reality. It's dismantling the patriarchy. You know, we've had infiltrators of the patriarchy all along. The goddess has been everywhere. She's been coming up through the cracks of the sidewalk. And I mean that literal and metaphorically. You can see her everywhere if you have the eyes to see. The feminine has been everywhere. The feminine has not let us down. It has been there putting putting arts and humanities into colleges, and installing art installations in cities, and making our cities more beautiful, and going towards more progressive values and away from oligarchic values. You have to understand that oligarchic values are out for oneself, where most people are out for humanity, like yourself and humanity, like all of us together. But so many people in humanity are skewed by that small percentage of the population that is a narcissist, psychopath, or sociopath. They're dominated by ego and greed and are only out for themselves. And so many people have been, brainwashed and programmed under that spell, and so go towards that way of behaving, of acting, think that that's the right thing, put those people up on pedestals, are glamorized by materialism and chasing, climbing the ladder, chasing, the house and the money and the cars and the looks and the pictures on socials and all of this stuff, instead of actually living the real adventure of their heart. Pisces is the heart. What is the real adventure of your heart that you want to live in this lifetime? Pisces is the deep compassion, empathy, and care. And the healthy Aries is actually caring for the underdog. So many people are out there crying war, and I'll tell you, those people are either bamboozled by a narcissist, psychopath, or sociopath, or they are one. Because we do not want to imagine, we want to choose with our imagination and vision into being what we want to see in the world, and you get to do that. Maybe other people are doing their negative visioning. You do the positive visioning. You do the visioning for the world you want to see, and that's the world you will live in. You get to choose your reality. That is what is amazing about this earthly incarnation and being in higher consciousness, is that the higher consciousness you are in, the less negative things affect you, like frequencies or like, foods, chemicals, toxins, things like that, the less they affect you. And this is scientifically proven. So we want to make sure we are in control of our frequency, which means you want to feel your emotions, because you will numb yourself down. You will have a non-affect when you stuff emotions, and you'll kind of just be going through the motions, or in this like toneless baseline that maybe you've lived in on and off for so much of your life to cope. But that's not living, and that's not the adventure of life, and that's not higher frequency, and you won't be able to create the reality that you really want to create and see. And so I hope that this video has been amazing for you, because this is all about us breaking down those old ways of seeing relationships, and going through that disillusionment of what we thought relationships were, of this twin flame, soulmate, one person only idea, and really expanding our ideas of soulmates to all of the amazing kindred people we're meant to have a great relationship with. Platonic, romantic, friendly, just explosively like fun and exciting, and just like, maybe you just have so much that you learn and teach each other. Like, there's so many types of relationships to be had, and people are keeping themselves in soul prisons in 2024. Let's break out. Pisces abhors restriction. It says break yourself out, jailbreak your soul, Pisces, from these old lines that we've been coloring in between about relationships, and about our own identity within relationship and within ourselves. And luckily we have the sun in Aries and Mercury here in Aries, and Mercury's going to be here in Aries a bit. So we have some fire drying out a lot of this water, whereas the water we had in February going into March was so much, so much water in the sky without any fire to dry it up. It was a really challenging time there for a couple weeks. But now we have some fire in the sky that's really helping. But we do have this other eclipse coming up, and And just know that these are deeply internal things that are happening because Mercury's retrograde. It's deeply within our psyches. It's deeply within our subconscious that things are shifting and things are happening. Although, you know, they will ripple into your external world in greater or lesser ways. And of course, it's a big time of changings and endings and beginnings. You know, like I said, all the moving and things like that. So stay tuned for the next video. I'll have that out soon. I'm probably going to do sun sign horoscopes for that video. Look forward to it. I took some time off from the Pisces new moon video. I always, if you're new here, I always do bi-monthly new moon and full moon videos with sun sign horoscopes every month. I took one moon off since like 2022. I needed that, took a vacation. It was amazing. So I am back. I hope this video just really uplifts you and encourages you and inspires you to really go towards the adventure of your heart. I'm sending you so much love. You can book an astrology reading with me at empoweredwomenrise.com. That's empowered women, plural with an E, rise, just 4 letters.com. And you'll find a link below in the description box. Please like, subscribe, share. I really appreciate it. You really help other people to find this work and to find something fun or uplifting, or maybe just the thing they need to hear in just the right moment. If you subscribe and like and share, so I really appreciate you maybe texting this video to a friend that would love it. I appreciate you going ahead and throwing a like down on the video, and subscribe if you want to know when the new moon and full moon videos come out every month. They'll pop up in your feed that way or be easily searched. So I'm sending you lots of love. I'm on TikTok every day doing astrology and soul coaching. Lots of love, and I'll talk to you on the next video.